do notice that StreamYard usually needs a couple of seconds before it's officially live. So really, this probably won't make it. I'm not like Perry. I don't start a live stream without telling people that they're live. Tell you right now, and still, I had to go back and rewatch his show.
It was epic.
Not worth watching those first 5 minutes with just me complaining to Perry. But anyways, this is the second episode of either Skip It or Stream It, or Stream It or Skip It, whichever way we're going to call it. This is a movie review show where we are looking at shows and movies that you can watch on streaming networks, and then we will tell you which ones are the best ones to add to your watch list. Last time around, Perry and I were joined by Fire Guy Ryan, and we looked at Netflix movies, which I have to say, somewhat slim pickings. There's not a lot of great movies, a lot of good TV over there, not a lot of great movies. This time around, we got our buddy Carlito Classico to join us to look at Amazon Prime movies. Carlito, man, how you doing?
I'm doing well, John. How about yourself?
Well, I didn't get a new pet today, so I'm not living high on the hog. How's this new animal living in the house there?
She's super shy, but I think we're gonna get along great. She's perfect.
Heck yeah.
Is she like young? Is it like a kitten, or is this like a rescue?
Yeah, it's a rescue. They approximated her age at 2.
Uh-huh.
She came from a kill shelter in Oklahoma.
Oh wow.
And she was actually pregnant while she was at the shelter too. So but all her kittens are gone and they've been adopted, and
good.
She was looking for a home, and she just got spayed recently, so she's taking it easy. But yeah, she's a perfect match.
And then, of course, as always, we got Mr. Perry Comics here. The guy seemed to be on every show with these days. We are continuing the education of Perry, trying to find movies, comics, and things. He's a young guy. We're trying to bring him up in the world. But how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I went out comic book hunting today. I had some Five Guys. Oh,
I love. Well, it's weird if I say I love Five Guys, but
you put that Five Guys in your mouth, it's A-okay.
It's delicious.
And then I did a show with Rod and Jeffrey on Coast to Coast, where we interviewed the writer of Road to Bones. So that was a blast tonight. And now we're here.
Dang. So you showed a little bit of what you picked up, and I was like, okay, good, solid stuff. There's a lot of stuff there that I really did.
Proud of myself.
Yeah, you should be. All right, let me go. I'm sorry, I'm bidding online for something right now. Let's see if I get it.
Going once, going twice.
You get some big boy books, Perry?
Not really. I got this Shazam, which is pretty cool. Shazam number 5.
Oh, I got outbid.
Have a lot of 20-cent books. This one's pretty cool.
It is actually. It's a good read. The Batman Last Arkham, I should say, is a decent read.
And then my favorite pickup Lobo book, a Spring Break edition, which is a very good barcode placement. Which I am very happy to find that. That was my pick of the day.
So let's just jump into the chat, say a little hello. We got Discovery Bay. He dropped in early. Appreciate the shout out for the show today and the use of our thumbnail in your thumbnail. Thank you for doing that. Funko Enthusiast and Ben Compton are hanging here. Lurkers. A lot of lurkers following Perry wherever he goes.
Hey, man.
TJ's in the chat. He's throwing
a lurker too. I'm starting the movement, man.
Even the lurker has lurkers. That's good.
Who lurks the lurkers?
John.
Borinkin Comics, I do. Borinkin Comics in the chat. Thanks for coming, brother. Bake the Snake, Glitter and Duct Tape. Still one of the all-time best names for a channel, I think. My good buddy, Old Wolf, who got a sweet coffee mug today. Really good one. Sam I Am Comics. He made an amazing video for my contest. It's super, super amazing. You should definitely go watch it. I've got it in the playlist. You should check it out. Zlos, how you doing? Immortal Biggie Shack, the Hunt Champion, in the chat tonight. Dropped a fire book. He even teased us with it. Perry and I got a little sneak preview before the show. We knew what was coming, and that was fire. Yeah. Absolutely lights out. And then, of course, Bake the Snake won the first ever fight competition, Friday Night Fight. If you haven't watched that show on Matt's Boy Who Had 7 channel, you might have missed something special. Perry, is that milk in a wine glass? You bet it is. And
hey, this is the greatest glass for dunking cookies in. So, pro tip.
Oh my goodness. So welcome again. Like I said, we are doing movie reviews. And for me, I wanted to continue the trend here of educating Perry, doing movies that would challenge what he has been watching up to now. I'm going to go first tonight because my movie is the oldest movie. I chose a black and white movie, a film that truly stands the test of time. It's 12 Angry Men from 1957. This is a classic movie. I've loved this movie. It's a play, and then they've turned it into several different films. The original is on Amazon Prime, like I said, and you should definitely seek it out if you haven't done so. It takes place almost entirely inside of a jury room as 12 men are debating what will happen to a young man who is on trial for murder. Really a pot boiler. You get these 12 amazing actors, great performances as they sort of debate and argue about the guilt or innocence of this young man. The main actor in the film is Henry Fonda. He plays juror number 8. None of the characters have names in the film. They all have numbers. And juror 8 is really the only one who comes into the room believing it's possible that this kid is innocent, that he has a little bit of a reasonable doubt, and he wants to talk about it. Whereas the other 11 men really just want this to be over. This kid is guilty. He should go to the chair. It's done. And the film is sort of the debate and discussion that occurs when you have a human being's life in the balance. It's powerful. It's amazing. I really can't express how much I love this film. The director is a man named Sidney Lumet. And Sidney Lumet's made a lot of great movies. This was his, believe it or not, his first movie. And he followed this up later with amazing movies like Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon, great Al Pacino movies, Network, amazing movie, The Verdict, Paul Newman, great movie, Running on Empty, River Phoenix. He is an all-time great filmmaker. And this is an amazing tour de force film. 10 out of 10 stars or whatever you need to call it. It is phenomenal. Now, I got to know, Perry, your first black and white movie.
Second.
Oh,
Young Frankenstein.
Young Frankenstein. Okay, yeah, I respect. How did you feel about it?
I was not looking forward to watching this in any way, shape, or form. When I found it on Amazon, I looked at it and it said 1957, and I said, "Oh my God, this movie's older than my dad." So this is gonna be rough. I put the movie on. I watched it. I fell asleep, and then just because it was late night, not because it was bad. This movie was actually really, really good. It's amazing because you watch this movie and you see in a room where everybody's voting one way, and it's kind of like peer pressure. You don't want to be that odd guy out. And then here's this guy who has a moral compass, and it's I'm not saying he's not guilty. I'm just saying, what if? Let's talk about it. Let's give it an hour. Let's talk about this. Let's not be so quick to throw some 18-year-old kid to the chair and be done with it and go and watch the Yankees play tonight. Let's debate over this guy's life, So I really enjoyed this. I highly recommend everybody should watch this movie at least once because it is really cool. Especially, I got jury duty coming up, so
So do I, brother. So do I.
So I thought I really enjoyed this, and you told me there was other iterations of this with different people. So I actually kind of want to see a more modern version of this movie.
Yeah, and if you go on Amazon, they actually have 2 versions you can watch. This one is the original with Henry Fonda here. I love this old style yellow poster. It even says on it, "It explodes like 12 sticks of dynamite." I love the idea. And of course, it has the knife right here in the middle, which is a key moment. So, Carlito, how about you, man? You probably hadn't seen this in a while, right?
Oh, it at least been 20 years, I'm sure, since I've seen it. But yeah, it's one of those movies that I'm kind of a heady guy. So even though there's not a lot of action, I mean, the intensity of their arguments and of each individual in that room, you could basically apply that to anything today. And you see, oh, I know a person like that. I know a person like that. And then go around the room and it's how is he going to change their minds, you know. And I kind of, to me, I won't get into details, but I'm like very political, so which is something I don't really show on, you know, YouTube or anything.
Talking comic books, right? What's the need, right?
Yeah, yeah. But I was thinking the whole time, like, this is something that should be done more often in America, where we all kind of sit around and like have a healthy discussion instead of like sports teams, like my team versus your team type deal. But that's getting off on another tangent. And I can talk about
I think that, and I don't know that that's even a political statement that you're making. I'd like to think that that's a pretty universal statement, that the discussion and discourse over just, you know, people shouting at each other. I think there's a lot of value in what you're saying. I don't know that that's even one.
Yeah, I guess
side or the
it's
other.
more societal, I guess, is what you'd say.
Yeah, for right now in society, absolutely.
Good point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I give this movie at least 8 out of 10, especially since, like you mentioned, it takes place in one freaking room the whole time, pretty much.
And with characters that don't even have names, they just have numbers.
Yeah, yeah. Although he does say his name at the end to the old guy when
it's a great moment. Yeah, that one little they shared their names at the very end.
But it was funny. He shared his name, and he was like, "All right then," and then he just walked away. I started laughing. I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Is this what movies were like back then?"
I'm surprised you stayed awake, Perry, to see that part.
I would probably give this like a 9 or 10 movie. It was so good that as soon as I finished watching this, I watched The Apartment after, which is another black and white movie.
Great movie.
And it was like, wow, like I jumped down this rabbit hole, and I'm like, man, first John gets me to tear up watching a movie,
a British romantic comedy,
and then John gets me to watch a black and white movie, and now I'm starting to like black and white movies. I'm like, what are you doing to me, John?
It's the education of Perry. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah. I like to think we're enlightening you, Perry.
Yes, I am being enlightened.
And thank you for being a part of that, Carlito.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming.
But yeah, I'm going to change my score to 9 out of 10, by the way. The more I think about it,
at least in the stream it category, we're not skipping it, right? Definitely.
Oh, hence no. You should definitely watch at least once.
And I will say the remake that I've seen, and I think there's been a few. The one that I saw most recently was the Jack Lemmon version, and that is streaming on Amazon. It stars Jack Lemmon as the main role, but it has a real impressive cast of characters because it's a play. It's a very famous play. And I think a lot of actors were interested in reinventing it or reimagining it. And the new version has a lot more actors of color. So you get, I think, 3 African Americans. Edward James Olmos from Battlestar Galactica, Latino. He is in it. It's a nice sort of evolution of that story. And it's amazing to see racism play into it when you have people of color and they're debating a Latino kid going to the chair. The racism that's sort of slightly there when it's all a bunch of white guys really comes out when you've got black guys and white guys and Latino guys, and it's a lot more interesting.
Yeah, great pick.
All right, so we're moving on. I believe it's Carlito Classico is next.
All right, so my pick was The Score. It's 2001. Movie with Robert De Niro and Edward Norton, and also if you're really keen, you saw that Marlon Brando was in it, which I think that might have been one of his last films he ever did. But it's a heist movie, personally one of my favorite heist movies. But basically, you've got De Niro, who's kind of the career aged heister, and then you've got this cocky young Edward Norton coming in with his schemes and plans, and things don't go as they plan, and there's a lot of surprises at the end. The last 10 minutes is intense, and the one thing I like about it, nobody really talks about it much, but that Howard Shore score and even the jazz music and stuff in the background was just phenomenal, and it's just one of my all-time favorite heist movies. I'd say 9.5 on this one for me.
Howard Shore is a really underrated music composer.
Yes. But I think that pretty much about sums it up. I guess mine's the second oldest out of the three. So what did you, John? What did you think?
Second, I'm super pumped you picked this movie, Carlito, because I was working at a film, a rental company, like a movie rental place, when this movie came out on DVD, and I watched it that one time because I got it early and I watched it, and I've wanted to rewatch it and I haven't had the chance until now. I'm a big fan of Frank Oz. So he is the guy who directed this. If that name sounds familiar, it's probably because you've seen Star Wars or a Muppet movie. Frank Oz is a famous puppeteer. He is Fozzie Bear. He is Yoda. He is Miss Piggy. He is Grover. He is Bert of Bert and Ernie. He is an incredibly talented performer, puppet-wise. He started then directing films. I think he did Dark Crystal. He did Muppets Take Manhattan, and then he moved on to comedies. He did a whole bunch of movies with Steve Martin, like was it Dirty Rotten Scoundrels? He did Little Shop of Horrors? Really amazing filmmaker after being a puppeteer. And this was one of his last few films as he got a little older and he stopped making movies. But he is he's got like a smooth jazz way of making a movie. It's really smooth. And this movie, it flows really well for me. That's one of the things I like about it the most. As a heist film, it feels like a little bit of jazz to me.
I agree. That was a very eloquent way of putting it.
Perry, I don't know if had you seen this movie before?
No, not at all. I don't really know. I only know Robert De Niro from like a handful of movies.
Well, hopefully some of the best ones, like Godfather 2 or Raging Bull.
Meet the Fockers.
Oh, Jesus.
Was he in that one? And then the movie with Zac Efron.
Right? There you go. Wow.
I think that's about it.
Dirty Grandpa is how he's
Dirty Grandpa.
History. The guy won so many Oscars. Come on. Taxi Driver.
I've never seen that. I heard of it.
Raging Bull. Again, Godfather 2 is kind of like the high water mark. He won the Oscar for that one. In the chat, there's other people shouting out awesome Frank Oz movies, like What About Bob is one of his funny. I love What About Bob. That's a funny freaking movie. That's another Frank Oz movie.
Perry, lol. Sam.
So then, Perry, what did you think? Okay, so my score. I skipped over my score. I think this movie gets a lot of it got a bum rap because it came out 6 months before Ocean's 11, and Ocean's 11 like took all the hype of heist movies away from it for some reason. I think this movie, I'd give it like an 8.5 out of 10. It's just a whole lot of fun, and you get some of my favorite actors. Edward Norton was in his prime. It was like right after Primal Fear and right near the Italian Job, and he was just killing it. He was doing great stuff. And for me, I'm an Angela Bassett fan. She is awesome, and she's got a great little part in this as well. Besides Brando, as Carlito mentioned.
You know, another thing too, which this is all speculation, but I've heard the rumors about how hard Edward Norton is to work with, and I think by some of the scenes in the film, you can kind of tell that De Niro was almost fed up with him a little bit. And that kind of added to the angst between the characters, I think.
They're not supposed to get along, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Perry, what do you think, bud?
I was trying to think. Wasn't he in a movie called Showtime? I think that was the first movie I've ever seen with him.
De Niro was.
Yeah. All right. So that was another movie I've seen with him. That's about it.
I think Owen Wilson's the other guy in that.
Is he? All right. So what I think about
that's Eddie Murphy, isn't it? That's Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. Yeah, they're like cops, right, or something like that. I don't know. It's been a long time. I thought this was awesome. I liked the movie. That guy you said was hard to work with. What was his name again?
Edward Norton. He played Hulk in one of the.
Okay. I thought it was really cool because he was really convincing as a janitor. How he was walking around like this the entire time. I couldn't imagine having like an 8-hour shift, having to keep up and act like that and like do recon at the same exact time. Like it was really cool. I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was really cool. The ending caught me by surprise when he pulled that pipe out. I was like, oh man, like you're just a little young pup. You don't really know. You can't hang with the big dogs, man. Yeah,
it's got great twists. Like I think all good heist movies should have good twists in them. And I think it definitely has some of those really great little like who's got the upper hand kind of moments, just like Ocean's 11, which I think people are shouting out. Somebody shouted out Ocean's is a better movie, and I agree. Ocean's 11 is probably a better film. It's just I think they had clearly had a bigger budget and bigger stars. I think what Frank Oz does here with less is still very impressive.
I guess it depends on what you call better, but like I love Ocean's 11. It's great, but it's definitely, I would say, just in general audiences, is probably more entertaining for them. Ocean's 11 for sure. But I don't know. I just like the smooth feel of this movie. And I remember I was working in a movie theater, John, when this came out, and I used to always sneak in towards the end and watch the last 10 minutes like every time. So
it's so good, right?
I like Brian McDonald said, Perry only knows the worst De Niro movies.
It's actually very true. I'm very concerned for you. I clearly need to go back through the De Niro catalog and pick something great.
Hey man, I'm trying, you know.
Like a De Niro picks for Perry.
He's got enough movies, and people are shouting out some great Edward Norton movies as well. Like Fight Club is Edward Norton. Dude is great.
Oh, I've seen that one.
Fight Club. He's the main character in that, which, by the way, is a character who doesn't have a name. If you watch that movie close enough, his character doesn't have a name. He's just I, like first person I. And then my personal favorite is Primal Fear with Richard Gere. That movie is nuts. And the dude, Edward Norton, in his first 2 years of acting in films, had 2 Oscar nominations. It was American History X, where he played like a neo-Nazi.
I seen that one. That was crazy, dude. When he curd stomped the guy's face. Dude, I was like, whoa, this is nuts.
He did that movie, and just before it, he did this movie with Richard Gere, where he was a kid who was on trial for murder, and Richard Gere's trying to get him off, and he seems like he's got like multiple personalities. He's like insane. He's amazing in both. He was nominated for both. Norton was on fire right at the beginning, just out the gate. And this movie was like right after that. It was like right part of this like explosion where he's just everywhere.
Oh, were you talking about Primal Fear? Is that what it was called?
Primal Fear, yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, he was amazing in that too.
Lights out. And that's another movie where like each few minutes you get like another layer to that story, and you're figuring out what's going on as it builds. It's a great release. This film too, obviously. And then,
sorry, go ahead.
And then American History X. If you haven't seen it, it's brutal and hard to watch, but Norton is lights out in that as well.
Okay.
Like I say, I like also, if you watch the score a second time, you'll notice all the subtle stuff at the beginning that De Niro's doing when they're casing everything and stuff. And you can see he's already planning that something's going to go wrong and he's going to make a detour, you know.
Well, he's got experience, you know. He's been doing it for like decades and decades. So it's like, here comes this young buck.
Perry, you know, he's got like a month experience, and he's like, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and take care of this here.
I was just thinking the same thing. That makes me De Niro, and it makes Perry Edward Norton.
I'm Marlon Brando. There you go.
Yeah, you are. The boss, the king. If you guys don't know who Brando is, and it's possible like Perry, you don't, one of the all-time great actors from the black and white era all the way up. And he also won an Academy Award for playing the same character in The Godfather. He was in the original Godfather as Vito, and he won the Oscar. And then in Godfather 2, De Niro won an Oscar for playing the same character as a young man. So here they are together. I think it's the only time they're in a movie and share the screen together, if I'm right.
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure it's the only time De Niro ever worked with Edward Norton. After
I wouldn't be surprised. Sorry to block Carlito there, but this is a great comment. I love Ronin. Ronin is a great movie. The car chases in Ronin are some of the all-time greats because it's practical effects, no digital effects. They really do freaking blow up these cars. They really do slam them into each other. Ronin, I just recently rewatched it because I think it's on Netflix. Good movie. Really great De Niro movie.
If we had done Netflix, that was going to be my pick. So
it's a great, all-time great movie. So Bake the Snake, nailing it right there. Yep. Shout out to Kachung and DK. Thank you for coming by. Let's see, who else? Did anybody else jump in there? Jack Yo, I saw you earlier. Perry knows Brando from Superman. He hasn't watched the old original Superman, I don't think. He said it's on wires. He just turned it off. Brando played Superman's dad in that, just so you know. Biggie Shaq with a Bronx tail.
Oh, my personal fave.
Man,
Did you check?
De Niro directed that movie. If you didn't know, great.
I believe that was his directorial debut. Actually,
it is. Yeah, and NC Slapjacks threw out heat. Some great comments.
Familiar.
This chat is on fire, and as always, Brian McDonald with the truth. Dirty Grandpa is.
I thought it was a good movie, man.
I've never seen it.
And you can't forget Goodfellas, and we could do a whole thing on Scorsese, but we will talk about Scorsese soon because I gotta say, my man Perry might have pulled a Scorsese movie coming up here in the next round when we do this again soon. So just keep your eyes peeled for round 3 of this show. So everybody is in the stream it, not skip it category for this one?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. It's a good movie. Definitely watch it.
So if you haven't seen it, again, all of these movies are on Amazon Prime. If you're a Prime member, you get these movies for free. They're giving them to you. You go on, you click add it to your watch list, and they're ready, waiting for you.
You know, when I first had Amazon, I had no idea that you had Amazon Video. Like, how cool is that? It's like I thought I was just paying for shipping, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's movies?
Yeah, and I will say, they've got some great TV series. I'm a big Miss Maisel fan. That show is really underrated. If you haven't tried it, very funny. But the movies over there, they've got great movies streaming on Amazon. I had like 15 to pick from when this came around. I was like, which one do I pick? There were so many good choices.
Heck yeah.
So Jabroni in the chat, Chad 90 Miles from Comics in the chat. Look at all these awesome people rolling in here. Thank you guys for coming around. So now we're over to Mr. Perry.
Oh, man.
We're up for Mr. Perry's pick, and boom.
So I picked Harsh Times. Is a film from 2005 starring Christian Bale and Jim Davis about a former Army Ranger who is trying to become a law enforcement officer. Standing in his way are many bad habits, toxic friendships, and a nasty case of post-traumatic stress that Jay doesn't want to deal with. This film is written by and directed by David Ayer, who made films such as Suicide Squad, Fury, and who hit it big when he wrote Training Day and the original Fast and Furious movies. You know, those are pretty good. Like Training Day, this film focuses on Jim and his friend Mike as they drive around and get into mischief. There's action, drugs, drinking, ladies, and plenty of law breaking.
I love it when you read those, man. That's awesome. There were so many bad ways. I wrote that so badly. You said I wrote that for Perry. I had if you don't like
I edited some words out, you know? I took out that tank movie. That's about it.
Oh man, too freaking funny.
But no, this is a good movie, man. I enjoyed this movie. You know,
you're a Christian Bale fan, man.
I mean,
what is it you like about it? Go ahead and hit us with what you like.
Fanboy.
I had a lot of toxic friends that went down like really bad paths, and I felt like if I didn't disassociate myself and like have to like come down hard and end friendships, then it was like Harsh Times. It was like I was gonna have to go down those roads. So it's like watching this, it like made me think like, all right, I'm happy that I cut off certain people in my life, you know?
Sure. So obviously this is gonna score high for you. What would you score this one?
I think this is like an 8. You know, just because I wouldn't just watch this, you know, because there are some scenes that are crazy. There's a scene where he puts a gun to a woman who's pregnant and he's talking about how he's gonna kill her. I mean, that's freaking, like, he's losing his mind, you know, and you see like the flashes, so it shows like he doesn't even realize what he's doing, or he's just going completely psychotic.
Yeah, and this was my first time seeing it. Carlito, was this your first time seeing this?
It was, yes.
And what were your thoughts?
I respect everything actually Perry said, and I think to know that it's a personal kind of movie for him, that makes it that much more better, because I've got those too, like some really like worse movies than this. This wasn't bad. I didn't think it was bad, but I wouldn't rate it nearly as high. But I'll tell you why, and it's not because of Christian Bale or anybody. The acting and the scenery, the cinematography, some of it was superb. Like I really enjoyed a lot of things about it. However, I'm not a David Ayer fan, so he's going to score a little bit lower for me. I don't know what it is. I think personally, I would rather him stick to writing than directing. but that's just my take on it. But this is a really deep, emotional, dark story that I know a lot of my friends that have PTSD, and everybody here, we know somebody, that has harsh times that they either grow up with or deal with in war, and are trying to get through that and get over it. And so I think it's definitely a stream it. I mean, I would probably give it a 7.5. It's definitely better than Suicide Squad. I will say that.
Yeah. That's a great comment. I think I fully agree with that. Absolutely. Yeah. So Perry, what is it that what sequences do you think are the best in this film?
What sequences are the best? I thought it was pretty cool seeing the progression of, hey, this guy needs a ride to go and look for jobs, and he once he left the house, and his girlfriend, or like his mom almost, is like, hey, I'm gonna go look for jobs, and they just go out and just like they don't give a damn about anything. They're partying, they're drinking, they're smoking, they're robbing people, they're selling guns, they're just going down like it's like if you were a teenager but then grown up, like just that whole mentality is like. You sent me a message when you were when you were watching this, when you said he stabbed the guy in the throat and they were in the car. He's like, man, he turned his throat into a fountain of blood, man. You
were quoting the movie like spot on. I was like, dang, he knows this movie well. So, I mean, I would agree with both of all the statements you guys are making. I would say it's about a 7 for me. I think it reminded me a lot of Ayer's other movies. For those that don't know David Ayers, I think Perry mentioned a whole bunch of his movies. Fury with Brad Pitt, the tank movie in World War II is one of his. But this reminded me a lot of Training Day, right? Yeah. I mean, it's
I love Training Day.
It's a lot of driving around LA. Two guys, they're drinking beers and doing drugs in the car while they're driving. There's even like that sort of like borderline, right, between cop and criminal that's constantly being discussed and sort of dissected. You have the idea of wanting to uphold the law, but of course breaking it constantly as a big part of this. But I would say that this is definitely like a lesser Training Day. Like I think the Training Day, because obviously Training Day has Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke.
And Eva Mendes.
I mean, those guys they were both nominated for Oscars for Training Day, which is super rare to have two actors in the same movie nominated because they're both so freaking good together. Something about the film Training Day, I think, works better than this one. I love Freddie Rodriguez, who plays his buddy Mike in this. Freddie was in 6 Feet Under, which is a show I really love. So I've probably got the DVDs like right here. So 6 Feet Under. He was great as the like mortician guy working in the funeral home. He was great, and he's great in this as the guy who's trying to do the right thing, but of course, toxic friendships is a big part of this film.
Oh yeah,
and I think you see how Christian Bale just brings him down repeatedly. I think the acting, like I think Carlito was saying, is like spot on. The flaw I think is Ayers, who I think when he's directing his own movies has a hard time hitting the beats right. And when other people are directing his movies, I think they generally are better. And there's a lot of filmmakers like that. I mean, when they start directing their own movies, I think Aaron Sorkin is one of those. He's directed his own movies a couple times now, and I think they're never as good as when other people are directing his movies. So Social Network, I think, is a better film than the one he did recently on The Woman, the Gambler. I think it was not nearly as good. She ran gambling in L.A. For movie stars.
I have not seen that one.
Yeah, it was not very good, and Sorkin was directing his own stuff. I think sometimes a writer is really good at presenting something in film, and then you need somebody with an eye and an idea for tempo, like Frank Oz, who can really set up pacing. And I think David Ayer might be one of those guys that it's better when other people direct his stuff. And again, I think Training Day is just a phenomenal movie. If you've missed Training Day, I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. It's a great movie. Denzel obviously is just solid. He won the Oscar, but I think Ethan Hawke is just as great. I think the bit when Ethan Hawke is like upside down in the bathtub and they got the shotgun in his face, and you're just like, this is not going to end the way it was like the look on his face, the way he reacts to the gun, is powerful. And in this film, there's a lot of those same beats, right? You have the moments of like, the characters make a huge mistake at the beginning and it comes back to bite them at the end. There's a lot of the same beats here. But this one is obviously about PTSD, whereas the other one I think is more about police and where police fit in the chain of criminal and crime and police on the other side. I think that film is more about that. Whereas this one, none of the characters are actually law enforcement officers. In fact, this one makes the statement that these guys are clearly not right for law enforcement. They're not going to get that opportunity. And we can see why, versus the other movie that Denzel somehow slipped through the cracks. That guy did not belong on the other side of the law.
How about that J.K. Simmons small bit? I enjoyed that.
There's a lot of great little Eva Longoria is amazing. I mean, she's she's smoking hot, but very talented.
All she did was stand there, but very talented.
So I'm assuming, Perry,
she did make eggs.
She did.
There you go. Well, they were fake eggs, so
They're
were props.
Perry, you've seen Training Day, I'm assuming.
Correct.
Would you say Training Day is a better film than this one? How would you rank them together?
Well, I think they're both different films. I guess, they have comparisons, but it's more like I see this one more as like a toxic friendship, and then the other one's more of a toxic police environment and someone coming in and saying, where's my moral compass lying?
Yeah.
Am I going to do the right thing or am I not going to do the right thing? And this movie is more like, I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to go out and get a job. And then here's my friend leading me down a path of destruction and death. And it's like, that's pretty real. There's neighborhoods where you rob somebody and 6 weeks later you see them at Walmart and then there's a shootout. It's like, that happens, and it's like seeing it and seeing the toxicity. You think you're having a good time. You're drinking with your buddies, you're smoking with your buddies, having a good time, and then shit gets real. At the end,
oh my God, that bar sequence. I still, you mentioned it a couple of times, but that bar scene, that caught me off guard.
Yeah, he was right there. He's about to make a transaction, and then homeboy just came up behind him right in the neck.
Boom.
Right there. Yeah. But I my favorite part, I would probably say, is the ending where he gets shot and you hear Christian Bale start, because he's been hard this whole time.
Yep.
You see him, oh my God, I fucked up. It's like realism just hit him. Like it's done. It's over. And then making him friend do what you should never ask anybody to do. It was crazy.
Which is the moment that you don't get in Training Day, right? Denzel never shows remorse. And if anything, Denzel digs in deeper all through that film, right? He's like, King Kong ain't got nothing on me, right? He's like, he gets bigger versus Christian Bale, which I think they did a good job of ending with sympathy for that character because he clearly gets smaller. He shrinks in size instead of getting he seems to get bigger, larger than life. But then at this moment we're talking about the film Harsh Times, which is a Christian Bale film. I got to cover Carlito again. Sorry about that. If I do that, hey, there we go.
There we go.
It's a Christian Bale film that's streaming on Amazon by the same writer of Training Day, and we're sort of making some comparisons. But what I think, Perry, you're making a great point of is that ending moment is what humanizes the Bale character versus the ending of Training Day, which we're just like, finally, get that guy a freaking bullet.
What I thought was pretty cool is in Harsh Times, it's very clear that the police force, they gave him a psychological test. They seen what he did overseas, how he carved up all these people. Like, he's a psychopath. He's completely crazy. And then the National Homeland Security is like, how can we use him to our advantage? Yeah. How can we take this guy who's clearly broken and can't fit in society? Let's throw him into another country to go in and do what normal people don't have the capabilities of doing.
Sure. And Carlito, how about you for you've seen Training Day, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So could you see similarities or did you feel like these were really different films?
There were some similarities, like a lot of it was in a car, and some of the music choices and stuff, and then also some of the different techniques that Ayer uses way more in the ones he directs, but there were a couple that were like that in Training Day, with like the fidgety screen, like kind of almost like you're seeing red PTSD thing, and like that. But I think, I think Training Days, definitely a little bit higher for me. But
Yeah.
But like Perry said, it is kind of almost a different, it's just a different movie.
Yeah. I wanted to mention Brian McDonald, who is like, he's been here for both of these.
He's been here for the education of Perry.
He's big on the education of Perry, but he's also clearly a big movie buff, and I really appreciate him on that. He mentioned the movie Molly's Game was the movie I was struggling to remember for Aaron Sorkin, where he wrote and directed it. And it's based on a real story of a woman who ran sort of semi-illegal gambling in LA, like for movie stars. And she got busted, and she was like one of the few people that actually had to like legitimately pay for the crime versus some of the stars that kind of got to walk on it. And Kevin Costner plays her dad in the movie, but Sorkin wrote it and directed it versus Social Network and Moneyball, which I love those movies. And, you have somebody like David Fincher coming in to direct who has a clear vision. So yeah, it's just absolutely spot on. That's what I totally agree with. Shout out
Moneyball. I have not seen Moneyball.
Oh, I love Moneyball. Great movie. I'm a big David Fincher fan. I know he's just like Edward Norton. I hear David Fincher is very hard to work with, that he's kind of a dick, but I appreciate that his films are so meticulous. And I came really close to picking one of his that's streaming, and I'll save it potentially for later. But yeah, Social Network. I mean, Seven. I even liked Alien 3 well enough. The guy's Fight Club. He's just really, really talented. I think Moneyball and Social Network, I think, are really just great films. He's notorious apparently for like what they call like the B team. So a lot of movies will have like the A squad that's out there filming the big famous actor and their faces and all those shots, but they have those little shots where it's like a hand opening a doorknob or somebody writing in a journal. And they usually have another person doing that. They don't have De Niro, his writing in a journal. It's a different hand, right? Fincher is famous for like forcing the actor to do all of those scenes. So like in Zodiac, there's a shot where Jake Gyllenhaal he's writing in his journal and he has to throw his journal onto the passenger seat. And the shot is the passenger seat and the journal landing. He made Gyllenhaal do that like 100 times until he got it right. He didn't have like just another guy with a camera go and find a car and have just a random grip throw the book a few times till they got it right. He forced Gyllenhaal to do it 100 times till they got it just right. It was just a chair and the book landing, and that was it. That's all you saw. But dude made Jake Gyllenhaal do it 100 times. So I appreciate his attention to detail, even if it sounds like he's a bit of a challenge to work with. Sounds like Zlo saw Zodiac recently. Benjamin Button is another one of his movies. He works with Brad Pitt a lot.
I haven't seen that one either.
What's that?
I have not seen Benjamin Button either.
Yeah, that one gets less love. But again, I like the director. Like you were saying, I think sometimes you like a writer and director and you just can enjoy all their movies. And inversely, you don't like one, you can't enjoy their stuff as much. Have any of you guys seen Fury, the Brad Pitt Ayers film?
The tank movie? No, I've seen the ads, but I never actually.
Because I struggled with that one. It's intense. There's some really great sequences, but it felt a little like Harsh Times in the sense that there were moments where I was like, I just think somebody could have tightened this up a little bit and made a really compelling movie out of it. Because the idea of looking at the challenges of fighting a battle in a tin can, like that is horrifying. I think a David Fincher could have made an insane movie out of that. That screenplay had a lot of great ideas. Didn't know Benjamin Button. That's a really good movie. Bake the Snake is in here. Loved Seven and Moneyball. Yeah. I think Fincher. Yeah, sorry. Carlito. Here's what I'll do. Watch this. Now I cover up Perry.
Yay!
Hey, everybody's happy now.
He's the young man. You can cover him up.
Yeah, I definitely love Fincher as a filmmaker, and I very rarely have seen one of his films and been disappointed. And again, he works with Brad Pitt a lot, and I generally think Brad Pitt's an underrated actor. So we have a couple.
Oh, go ahead.
No, we had a couple minutes left. I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on these movies this week. Did you think there was any kind of like theme for this week? Because it wasn't planned. For those in the audience, everybody picks a movie. It's totally random. I thought last week it was kind of cool. All the movies had like a little science fiction to them. Did anybody see a theme for these movies this week?
I'm trying to think. How do they relate to Lost? Let me see. That's what you're really asking, John.
They're all justice system criminal related, in my opinion. I mean,
that was me. Yeah, I thought crime.
Yeah. But I do want to say, like, I'm glad I got to see Harsh Times, because if it wasn't for Perry, I probably would have never watched it. Because when it came out, I heard it was okay and whatever, and I was just like, well, it's David Ayer, so I'll skip it. But I'm really glad I watched it, Perry. So thank you for recommending it.
Jackie O throwing out another great David Fincher movie, The Game.
The Game.
Ooh.
The rapper.
That's a good one. Good twists. So Perry, yeah, I thought crime when I was first thinking of it. You had the criminal justice system kind of from several different angles and people on different sides of the law and the judgment that comes with that. Perry, did you see any other similarities for these movies? I mean, it's hard, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Well, crime. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I was trying to think. No, that seems about right. Crime, and then, well, I feel like these were all really like we just randomly picked movies that all happen to be in the same type of category.
It's funny, right?
Yeah, and the same thing with last time. They all kind of fit in the same category. Kind of weird.
I'm excited because I've already started thinking about next week's movies or next round's movies and how they might fit in. Shout out if anybody wants to join this. Like Carlito was like right off the bat, he's like, I want to do this. This sounds like a lot of fun. And we definitely roped him in right away. But if you feel the same way, hit us up on email, Instagram, whatever. Leave a comment down below if you would like to be involved in this in some way. Perry and I are definitely looking for partners. Fire Guy Ryan, he's super busy.
You might be looking for a partner. I'm not. Yo, what are you saying, man?
I'm looking to replace the man downstairs. Needs replacing. And so we're very flexible. As long as the movie is streaming, that's really the only requirement, so that people can easily find it. We don't want to pick a movie. Like I've mentioned, Rear Window is one of my all-time favorite movies, and I would love to have Perry watch it, but it's not streaming anywhere, so it doesn't really work for what we're doing. That's the only requirement. If you have Netflix or you have Amazon, that's pretty much all we need to do, and then we will make that work. Fire Guy Ryan, like I was saying, works a lot, so he can't make it every single week. He's going to be back next time, but then the show after that, we must go on, and we're going to fill it in with anybody that wants to join us. Sounds like Bake is saying he's totally down for this. We don't know for sure, Brian McDonald, if it's Amazon next time. It's very open. And Perry and I, we've been scouring Netflix and Amazon, at least.
Or Hulu. Hulu, right? That's an option too.
You're a Hulu guy. I haven't started Hulu yet, but I'm interested.
Oh, because I watched Lost on Hulu.
Oh, yes. Lost is on Hulu.
John,
oh yeah, you got the DVDs.
I got like 100 of the DVDs. I don't need any more reason to watch Lost. Comic Man Andy says he would be down. That's awesome. Ooh, Jackie O, great movie. I'm ready for my girls to watch Romancing the Stone. It's a phenomenal movie. Except for the alligator and the hand biting, I think my girls could probably handle it pretty well. That's the one moment that even as I look back as a kid, I was like, whew, that's a raw.
Rod said, I need to get back to the wife. She's killing me. He's like, honey, I have to use the restroom real quick. Let me watch it.
It's an hour later, and I'm still watching YouTube. Well, thank you very much, Carlito, for joining us, man. This was a whole lot of fun, and I was super pumped that you picked this movie because I really wanted to go back and watch The Score again.
Thank you for having me. Look, Ryan told me I couldn't pick any mob movies because we might be doing something on that later. So
no, he
I was kind of mad, but then
he picked his movie for next time.
This was a mob adjacent movie, sort of. So,
well, his movie for next time is not a mob movie, so he blew it if that was his goal. Perry, how you feeling, man? The education continues.
I gotta say, I'm learning a lot this summer. You know,
you're watching black and white movies.
Black and white movies.
You're reading Marvel comics.
Oh, don't. Hey, man, I still don't like die. I'm just saying.
Hey, I will say, one of the things there's a couple of things I like about Perry. One of the things I really like about Perry is the dude is completely willing to try stuff.
Heck yeah, man. Whoa, just like within comics and movies and music. Nothing. Yeah. I'm not like, I got limits on other things, you know?
Party on Friday.
Yeah, well, it's like, don't put a blanket statement over me, John.
Enjoy a movie or a comic, even if he's never tried it out before. He's like, I'm going to give this a shot. I really appreciate him coming on here. Even if he's like, hey, it's not my cup of tea. I don't like this. He's still willing to show up.
Look, I even got a Hulk poster up now.
Comics Misexplained just got here.
Oh, he's busy playing Overwatch.
What are you doing, brother? What are you doing? You want to recap in the last 5 seconds? Here you go. We watched 12 Angry Men, an amazing movie from 1957, black and white film. All these movies are on Amazon Prime. Then Carlito had us doing The Score, Robert De Niro heist movie 2001, if I'm not mistaken. Then this guy downstairs had us doing Harsh Times. This is a David Ayer written and directed film starring Christian Bale, looking at PTSD and criminals and cops and the law in Los Angeles. Very much a Training Day throwback, David Ayer's film as well. So there you go. That's all you're getting out of me, brother.
Oh, Comics Misexplained said, damn, I don't think I've ever watched those. I have to peep soon. You got to watch Harsh Times first.
Dream it.
No, I got to say, out of all the movies, I think 12 Angry Men was probably the most rewatchable movie I would probably watch again. And I'm looking forward to actually watching the other iterations and seeing like different characters and watching it in color because, you know, that's kind of cool.
And I will say, besides actual color, the color of the cast, I will say again, is one of the best parts about the second version. Getting to see, you know, Michael T. Williamson, who was in Forrest Gump as Bubba. He plays a great part. And there's just lots of great color added to the cast because it's not just 12 white guys. And I think that makes a big difference. And I still think one of my all-time favorite moments in film, like any movie, is watching Henry Fonda click open that knife and slam it down in the middle of the table I mean, the first time I saw that, I got goosebumps. I was like, holy crap, what a moment in film.
And then everyone jumped up to look at it because it's like this unique knife. And he's like, I got it for the pawn shop for $6.
Right
around the corner.
It's such a moment. And it's even the poster that I showed tonight.
Do you think he killed him? Because they never actually like say if he actually committed the crime or not. They just say the jury's verdict. So
I don't think it matters. There was doubt, so it doesn't matter.
I mean, give him the chair, man. You know.
I think that's the point. I think Carlito hit the nail on the head. That's the point. Like, it doesn't matter if he did or didn't, because the job is just to decide, is there a reasonable doubt? And that's hugely challenging when you're talking about a human being's life.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see 12 people in a room not skip that decision as being worthless or being unimportant. That at least one person was willing to say, you know what, let's spend some time just talking about it because it matters.
And had a nice suit.
That's powerful.
That bright white suit. I like that.
I love the suit. There's a lot of suits in that movie because it was the era where you wore a suit and a tie to court.
Dude, they're sweating bullets with no AC.
You've got jury duty. When is your jury duty day?
September 3rd.
I'm going Tuesday.
Oh man.
I've got jury duty Tuesday, and I'm not wearing a suit and a tie to jury duty. I'm not
either.
But you see the guys, and they're hanging their jackets, and they've got the washroom with the like roller towel, the old school roller towel. There's a nice flashback to all that kind of stuff that I think it's very. And again, the bathroom and the jury room, that's the whole set for the whole movie. It's amazing what they do in the tight. They're locked in. Even the beginning moment when they go in the room and they lock the door, and the one guy's like, they lock us in? Like, I didn't know they were going to lock us in. And the other guy's like, well, what do you think they were going to do? It's like, I don't know. I just never thought about it. They're going to lock us in here.
I like how, because I don't really know like filming as a technical standpoint, but like when they were moving the camera, like panning it from like one side of the room to the other, you got to see like different conversations taking part.
Yep.
I thought that was so cool how they were able to like do so much in one room with the camera, just moving it like that. I thought that was awesome. Perry walking in yelling, guilty, guilty, guilty.
My favorite shot was the end from inside or through the closet, and especially when Fonda takes that last guy's coat and then takes it to him and helps him put it on, and they kind of have like a moment, because that guy had a emotional breakthrough just being a part of that journey for his personal life, so it's great.
Yeah, I totally agree. That moment is a real capper. Yeah.
Are you going to wear a comic book shirt to jury duty?
I don't think so. I think I'll probably wear something with a collar. I'll go one step up.
I'm in Florida, so I'm gonna wear a golf shirt, like a golf collared shirt.
Yeah,
bright neon green
with
some ripped jeans and some flip flops.
Highlight comic and Boy Who Had Seven. Thank you for jumping in here, guys. We're wrapping up.
Wear a Punisher shirt.
We're at the 56-minute mark, so we're gonna end out here. The goal is to come back again next weekend, have Fire Guy Ryan, 3 new movies, all Netflix-based films that you can stream on Netflix. But week to week, it's going to be whatever streaming service. It doesn't necessarily need to be all from the same. We're just trying to give you movies that are stream ready. And if you have streaming and you're looking to watch something, I know my wife and I, a lot of times we're like, what do we want to watch? What do you want? I don't know what you want to watch. What do we even watch anymore? Now we're giving you
and then you give a suggestion and they're like, not really. Well, then
now you can say, hey, sweetie, I heard about this amazing black and white movie. Let's try it. These 3 guys on this YouTube show were saying, watch a black and white movie.
Hey, I picked a good movie for Netflix next week.
You did? I'll tell you, I had not watched it again since it had originally come out, and I saw it in theaters, and I was like, this was a lot. I clearly was not in the right headspace when I watched it the first time.
Oh, yeah.
So
I've seen it multiple times.
Talk about it.
Heck yeah.
So we will tell Carlito what those movies are in the off chat, but you got to turn around next week if you want to find out what those are. Hit us up, Perry or I, Instagram. Leave a message in the comments below. Hit us up on email if you want, and we will definitely add you in if you are interested in joining us. Grapes of Wrath, good way to end. Highlight a Comic Bro, great Henry Fonda movie. He is the lead in 12 Angry Men and in Grapes of Wrath, all-time great movie. Much appreciated. Thanks, everybody, for coming by, and we'll see you again at the movies.
Yes, and bang.